Hey, how are you doing today? My name is Andy. I hope you're having a good day. I am. Thanks for asking. So it's about to be Mercury retrograde, and that's a real wacky time, you know, because mainly because of communication. In fact, that's the biggest thing that Mercury retrograde actually affects. And a lot of people think, oh dear, Mercury retrograde, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a bad time. And I do a lot of readings actually at this time for people who are concerned about Mercury retrograde. Well, it certainly is a thing to be concerned about. It certainly makes a difference. But what really happens is very closely tied up with karma, you know, and it doesn't have to be bad. It essentially teaches us lessons, and lessons about blind spots that we have in our awareness about other people, how we relate to them, what they mean to us. And it plays out usually through communication. It's very easy to say the wrong thing by mistake during Mercury retrograde. And what actually happens with Mercury retrograde? We'll do a tarot reading in a minute, by the way. I've got some Ascended Masters Oracle cards to go with it, and we're going to use the Cosmic Tarot, which someone very kindly got me for Christmas. It doesn't show up too well on camera, so I'm going to have to mess with the lightings a bit, the lights and the lighting a little bit. But we'll get it done. It'll be good. Okay. Particularly, I'm determined to get it good because this is communication, and this is what Mercury retrograde is all about. But Mercury retrograde, what happens as we see Mercury from Earth, if we're looking with a telescope or if we can see it somehow, Mercury appears to kind of stop going forwards and then starts going backwards. And it doesn't really go backwards. What's happening is it's going through the sky on its journey, going through space on its journey. And it weaves from side to side a bit, which means that about 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year, as we see Mercury from Earth, it looks as if it's going backwards because we're here. And so as it goes from side to side, it looks as if it's going backwards. Now, Mercury retrograde station is on Saturday, the 30th of January, 2021. It's the first Mercury retrograde of 2021. And what actually happens on that station, the station of retrograde, is it stands still. We've been in the pre-shadow to Mercury retrograde for the last couple of weeks. So, you know, you might have noticed problems around communication. You might have noticed people getting the wrong end of the stick, and maybe some arguments, maybe some difficulties between people arising because of that as Mercury slows down. And on the direct, so the retrograde station, sorry, I'll come to the direct station in a minute. On the retrograde station, it's when Mercury stops slowing down and actually stands still. And then after that, Mercury is moving backwards for about 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. And then it slows down and stops going backwards, and that's the direct station. And Mercury starts going forward again. That's the end of Mercury retrograde. And then we have a post-shadow to Mercury retrograde when there are still kind of tricky things going on, but it's more about answers coming in then. I'm asking you, friends, please try to see it not as a negative thing. I've often said if we found a clever way of getting through Mercury retrograde without learning any lessons, we would still have those lessons to learn, and we would still, you know, somehow, I'm not going to say troubles would happen, but things would happen that wouldn't be easy to deal with. So it's best to go with the flow, because the more of these lessons we learn, the less future Mercury retrogrades are actually going to affect us. Okay, let's get stuck into the tarot. I'm going to do a 5-card reading from Cosmic Tarot here, which is a real nice deck someone got me from Etsy for Christmas. And the Ascended Masters, which I used in a reading last week, and it got a very good response. It's a very old Doreen Virtue deck. It's been out for a long time. It's very similar to Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray, but it's Ascended Masters. Anyway, right, let's turn the camera around, focus the camera on the table, and we'll see what's going to come up. Right, so there we go. The table is set. I've had a shuffle and come up with these 5 cards from the Cosmic Tarot. I can see from the backs of them that none of them have come out upside down, actually. And that's good news at Mercury Retrograde. That kind of shows that things aren't going to be super hyper complicated, any more complicated, really, than they need to be. And the complications here do happen for a reason. Anyway, let's get stuck in and turn over card number 1. Just before I do, friends, you can pick a card from this if you like. You can pick all 5. It is meant as a 5-card reading, actually. I haven't laid it out as a horseshoe because I'm going to have to buy a new camera lens to make that really work, which is unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But there you go. And I can't buy one just yet because my car just died and I had to get another car, which has just kind of taken up all my lens money, you know. But isn't that just life? And, you know, it's a Mercury Retrograde thing as well, actually. Cars breaking down, all part of the fun and games of Mercury Retrograde. So pick yourself a card if you want. Pick 2, 4, 3, or pick all 5. That's the way to go, really. So we'll turn over card number 1 and see where this journey starts. And it's the Emperor. Oh, now this is a reminder about resourcefulness, you know, about making the most of what we actually have at the moment. Now, Mercury Retrograde has a lot to do with relationships of all kinds, you know, work relationships, love relationships, and interpersonal stuff going on between friends. So remember, folks, that friends are the resources, really, particularly at Mercury Retrograde. We're always reminded of that. And that's what the lessons tend to be all about. Now, we've got a tower behind the Emperor, who's number 4 in the major arcana. We've got a tower showing up here. And it looks a bit like the Tower of Destruction, only it isn't. You know, it just has that kind of shape, and that's what it's making me think of. And misunderstandings, which are so easy to come by in Mercury Retrograde, are a real issue with friendship, and it can bring the tower crumbling down. So, you know, do think of that, do be aware of that. We've also got this pendant that he's wearing, which is a sphere, and spheres to me always represent abundance, because it's, you know, it's a coming together of everything in such a well-rounded way that you'd think nothing could go wrong. I'm not saying nothing can go wrong, friends, that's an absolute fact, but keep in mind that there are definite possibilities. There's a magic wand down here as well, so the possibilities are absolutely huge. There's a slight heart shape to this sphere as well. So, you know, this is in the heart. Friendship is a thing in the heart just as much as romantic love. It's just a different kind of love, but it's all in the heart. And the Emperor is saying, you know, be wise. You know, the Empress understands all about resources. The Emperor tends to, I wouldn't like to say hoard resources up, because that's not what he is about, but he will make sure there's enough to go around in leaner times when there's not so much going on. And guys, you're going to need your friends. We always need our friends. And by the way, I'm so grateful to you guys for your friendship. Do leave me a comment. It's great to keep in touch that way. It really is. But here's the Emperor essentially on his throne. It looks like he's sitting on a throne here with these pillars coming up at the back, and there's rams. So it's ram-like energy, you know. It's important to kind of push through whatever blockages might come up during Mercury Retrograde. And you can actually use this Mercury Retrograde to get in touch with people that you've lost touch with. Maybe fall back in with people that you've fallen out with and thought, well, you know, I was right at the time, but I missed that person. Maybe that person's learned their lessons. Friends are resources, they really are. And that's what it's all about. So that, friends, is card number 1. It is the Emperor. Let's turn over card number 2 and see where we're going with this. And it's the 3 of Pentacles. Steady progress. So things aren't going too badly. And this is a great card to get in this position, actually, early in the reading, because this shows that Mercury Retrograde isn't actually going to kill anything off. And, you know, realistically, it never should. And as far as I know, it never has. I've had, you know, things like a car die. This is quite a common theme with me, just coming up to Mercury Retrograde. I tend to get terrible car trouble. And then for the retrograde itself, it's okay. And I'm going shopping in another car, which is by the grace of God and the angels come my way today. I'm actually going out in that car later. It's all kind of nice, and it's old, but it's new to me, you know, so I'm happy. So steady progress, you know, that's so important. And whatever might have cropped up during the pre-shadow to Mercury retrograde in the last couple of weeks is something you can get over. And whatever comes up in Mercury retrograde is something you can get over, particularly if you're mindful of what the Emperor had to teach us just then, actually. And we can see there's nothing really straightforward about the Three of Pentacles, the way it's depicted in this deck. I'm liking this. We've got three characters, you know, and once again this reminds us that the people that we actually work with, even if we don't get on with them all that much, even if they're not exactly what you'd call close friends and they're just work colleagues, everyone's in this for the journey, everyone's in this for a reason, and there's three people working hard here. Nothing at all straightforward. This one looks as if he's trying to kind of fall off two ladders at the same time. This one's bending over, trying to pick something heavy up that this one's passing up to him. And, you know, this is the nature of getting things done. There's nothing really straightforward about actually making things happen. Except to say, you know, we are all kind of, not just ourselves, but we're the sum of who we are when we mix with other people. It has been said, often been said by me on this channel, actually, because it's relevant a lot of the time to the human race, which is what the tarot is really all about. It's been said that God came to Earth as a glass sphere and shattered when it hit the Earth. You know, and that all of us human beings, all of us people are the fragments of that glass sphere trying to come back together again. So it might be good to build bridges, and if you've been building bridges, then keep on doing it. Because the Three of Pentacles says, you're doing okay, it's early in the journey, but there's abundance here, and there are going to be rewards for this hard work later on, somewhere down the line. And down here we've got this tool which kind of looks like a compass. It's sort of a pair of dividers, and in medieval times, which is when the tarot came to be, dividers were used all the time instead of hard and fast measurements. You know, you'd have like one measurement when they were building the great European cathedrals, and I think they actually built the newish cathedral in Washington according to the same method. You'd have a measurement which would be a cubit or a foot or something. You know, the authorities would decide what that measurement was, and then you would divide that up, and you would have a stick with all the divisions of that measurement on it. And then whenever the master mason or any of the workers were going to do anything, they would take a pair of these dividers and they would set them to that exact measurement and then transfer that measurement onto a stone or a piece of wood or whatever they were working with, so that everything in that cathedral building, when it was finished, all related closely to exactly the same measurement. That made them nice to look at, it gave them spiritual significance, and it made them very, very functional and very successful as what they are. There are many cathedrals in UK, actually. I'm very blessed to live here. I'm even more blessed to have played the organs in some of them, which is always a fantastic experience, because you kind of play the whole building with the vibrations of it. It's marvellous. But I've gone off on this cathedral tangent because, you know, cathedral churches, they're all about I suppose human spirituality as much as anything. For sure it's the spirituality that the churches, the Christian church authorities want us to follow, which is, you know, quite often not the same thing as actually following your heart, which is the really important thing to do. But there's no cathedral here. I'm just talking about the way they build them. And what you want to do, friends, is make your own lives a kind of a cathedral, using yourself, your own heart, as the basic measuring block, and maybe using the dividers to kind of decide how much or how little you want to put into a thing. Now, in a Mercury retrograde spread, it suggests that there might be an interruption to the flow of this steady progress, but you can't help that. All you can really do is keep on keeping on, keep on, you know, trying to make it work out as best you can, doing your best, mindful of the past, you know, and you know, not living in the past certainly, but taking notice of the lessons that were good that you learned in the past, of the love and the light that you've experienced in the past, and driving yourselves forward with that. That's the Three of Pentacles. And look, there's a real nice window coming together here. No doubt at all that's going to be finished. So, great stuff. What is card number 3? It's the heart of the matter, and it is the Chariot. Right. Pretty simple message, this one, actually. And here it is right at the heart of the spread. Card number 3. The Chariot is going places. It's actually being pulled by horses for a change. There's nearly always something different to horses pulling the Chariot in the tarot. Traditionally, actually, it's been pulled by sphinxes, but horses are pretty magical creatures. I'm sure you'll agree with me if you've ever sort of worked around horses or been a horse whisperer. We've got some slanted lines here, though, and in the tarot, the slanted line image always makes us think, you know, nothing is exactly what it seems. And that's very much the case in Mercury retrograde. There's a lot of illusory stuff. There are illusions. There are things that don't make perfect sense that come into play during Mercury retrograde. It's all a bit odd. It's all a bit different. But like we said with the steady progress in the 3 of Pentacles, the journey is actually going on, and the journey's going on fast, actually. Now, we know that the cosmic energies are speeding up an awful lot ever since 2012, and as we go on through the 21st century, things are really, really speeding up because we are coming towards the age of Aquarius. That's what particularly the astrology of 2021 is all about, and Mercury retrograde is all about astrology, is it not? So this is, you know, we're kind of racing towards having better days, better things, better circumstances, and a better understanding of each other. We're all wanting that to happen all the time. This Mercury retrograde is propelling us towards that, friends, and it's going to make a big difference. But it's a fairly simple message. It's a bit like the 2 of Wands, the way it's been drawn here. You know, things are happening. The guy's not looking back, he's looking forwards, he's keeping going. Okay? Now, Mercury retrograde, it can reveal all kinds of things about people. It can make you be aware of tricksters in your life. There can be, excuse me, I'm coughing a lot today. I'm really trying to give up smoking, but you know, it makes you cough at first when you try and give up smoking. Pray for me, send me healing, please, and help me to stop smoking that way. That's my journey of the moment, and I wish it was going as fast as these horses are going. But anyway, yes, the guy isn't looking behind him. He's looking straight ahead. The clouds aren't slanted, and there's a lot of blue in the sky, so this is good, this is positive. And whatever happens that might kind of, this flag looks a bit like a snake, doesn't it? So, you know, serpentine movements back and forth, up and down. Lots of up and downs going on in Mercury retrograde. It's when we become aware of twists in the tale of life. But we've got to keep on going, okay? And we are going to keep going, because this is the heart of the matter. This is the Chariot. And this says, whatever happens this Mercury retrograde, it's not going to put a stop to anything. It might make you have a rethink, but it's not going to put a stop to anything. So what is card number 4? The immediate kind of future as we look forward, it's the 8 of Cups. And here is, you know, a familiar situation, really. This guy reminds me a bit of Eeyore the donkey in the Winnie the Pooh books, you know. He's kind of miserable. He doesn't need to be miserable, but, you know, bad stuff does happen. It's a fact. And he's spilt 3 of his cups. But he's actually still got 5 cups standing up the right way. There's not a problem there. In the Rider-Waite, he goes off in search of the other cups. And that can be a good journey. That can be a fruitless journey. It really depends on you and where you are in your life. But friends, I wouldn't waste too much time looking for solutions to past problems. Maybe for you, this Mercury retrograde is closing the door on something in the past. And if you just can go with the flow, the quicker you can do that and just allow that door on the past to shut, or maybe even push it shut yourself if you need to, then you're not actually going to have to go off looking for the contents of the spilled cups. You are actually going to be going forward, and you're going to have a lot of what you desire around you already as soon as you make that decision. But you're going to find more as you go forward on the journey. There's also a lot of divine help here, and whatever the card, even if you're not looking at cards, you know, whatever you feel like in life, even if you're feeling really good, it's always great to ask for divine intervention, divine assistance, some kind of help from on high, because the angels are always there, they're always willing, and they're always wanting to give help, and they're just waiting for you to ask. So ask for help if you need to, friends. This is the short-term future. It's better than it looks. As above, so below. The Eight of Cups. And that's bringing us to the final card of the reading. I can already see what it is. Ha ha ha. So let's turn it over. And it's Strength. Right, now this is kind of long-term future really, isn't it? Because it's card number 5. It's an outcome card in a lot of ways, but I'm not seeing this as a hard and fast outcome. This is bringing us out at a place where the journey has to keep going, where we have to keep moving. And that's the nature of life. Life wouldn't really be worth having if we stood still all the time. Life is change. Any psychologist will tell you that if your life stops changing, it's as if the flow of abundance has stopped, to put it spiritually, and so things just feel stagnant, things don't feel happy, and a lot of people run into psychological problems and just general misery if the flow of life stops going. So it's no bad thing to be told, look friends, be strong, know you can be strong, and keep on moving forward. Have a plan. You don't have to make this plan just yet, it's not an immediate thing, but have your thinking head on, you know, as well as your manifesting head, and just be aware. Try and raise your own awareness of where you want to be, say in 5 years time, say in 10 years time, whichever way you want to look at it, okay, because you're always being your own psychic in these readings. But it's the Strength card, and the Strength card says you're going to need your strength, and you've got plenty of strength. It is there for you. We've got these trees in the background, reminding me of the two columns, Bina and Hokmah, on the tree of life in the Kabbalah, which is so close to the heart of the tarot. You can go up the masculine one, you can go up the feminine one, or you can meditate your way straight up the middle of it and hopefully come out at Darth, which is the Sephiroth, just before you get to the main one, which is where Metatron actually lives. In other words, the heart of God, the home of God. But you'd have to be a very, very old soul to be able to do that. And I know this channel is blessed with a lot of very spiritual, gifted people and a lot of old souls, actually. So maybe that's a true thing for you. But it's going to take all your strength. Just don't forget you've got the strength. Okay? Now let's move these a bit. I'm afraid some of them are going to end up going out of shot because I just haven't bought that ridiculously big, massive lens, and my iPhone certainly won't get this. And we're going to go into the Ascended Masters deck by Doreen Virtue. It's a Hay House deck. And it's, you know, very powerful images, and everyone in it is an ascended master, someone who lived an amazing worldly life and has now gone on to the other side to advise us from then. And here we've got the significatory card for this reading. Can you see it? I hope you can. I've tried to center it in the shot as much as I can here. And what we've got is see the other person's point of view. And gosh, now I've got to pronounce this name. Avalokitesvara. Something like that. Anyway, it's that person there. That's who it is, okay? And there's something quite cartoony as I look at this. You know, it's one of those amazing artworks that reminds you of so many different influences, shows you so many different things in one picture. We've got this wheel of spots and dots, and this is making me think of the world population. And no matter how different we might feel from each other, we all fit into this somewhere. And friends, if you don't feel that you fit where you are at the moment, maybe your dot is just in the wrong circle. Maybe you could fit in here where there's a little gap. Maybe you could change places with someone else who's kind of in the wrong place. Who knows? But it's all about people and communication, and I'm so glad this card came up because that really is the heart of what Mercury Retrograde is all about. It's teaching us to cooperate. It's teaching us to go along with each other, and maybe even, you know, criticize each other at times, but do it constructively. Tread gently on the face of humanity and the face of the earth as well, and kind of go along your way in peace, because then you will actually be able to join up with other people. And it's a very beautiful feeling of this card. You know, so much has come together. We've got flowers blooming, we've got, looks like a sea in the background, we've got wonderful patterns, and this pink higher heart chakra halo right around whoever that is, whoever that is as head has got this halo around it. Beautiful jewellery, great abundance this card is showing, if only we can see the other person's point of view. And here's the thing with Mercury retrograde, it is jam-packed with misunderstandings. That's so much of what happens in Mercury retrograde, all about misunderstandings. So if someone really offends you, hang on and just kind of try and see where they're coming from, because they might not have meant to offend you. It's very easy to take things the wrong way in Mercury retrograde because our lives get all jumbled up by the communication problems that are going on. Anyway, guys, I really hope that reading has been of help. So what did you think of that, eh? Different strokes for different folks. That is always how it rolls. If you picked one card, you saw the card for you. If you picked all five, well, you'll have seen some kind of progression going on there, threading our way through Mercury retrograde, I guess. I'll be doing more readings as we go along. Thank you very much for watching. Look out for live videos, friends. The best way to make sure you get notified when I go live is to hit the subscribe button, which is just down below the screen here on one side. I think it's this side as we look at it. Also, do check out my coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/Andy's Readings, all one word, no apostrophe. And you can have a look at some pictures from around the house. You can see the cat, you can see the cat's brother, it's all on there. And you can buy me or buy the channel a coffee if you like as well, which is always very much appreciated. But look out for the live readings, there'll be another one very soon. I'm trying to do them every 3 or 4 days if I can. That is my goal, because then I can actually pull a card exactly for you, and you can ask me a question and I'll pull a card, and I might even get out the pendulum and see if we can get some yes/no answers from the pendulum for you. That's how I roll, really. You can be your own psychic with this channel. So thanks again for watching, folks. Thumbs up, please, if you've enjoyed it. Do leave me a comment, please. It's great to share the journey, and it helps our spirit guides get zeroed into each other so I can do more meaningful readings. You know, something that really kind of gets a hold of you and actually shows you something that you want to be shown. In the meantime, take very good care of yourselves, friends. Love, light, blessings, and peace.